I'm here to do another video for Uber stories, and this one is actually tied into one of my last videos, if not the last one that I did regarding lost items, because this is quite the story, and it involves a lost item. So I pick up this guy, he's an Asian guy, I think in the Race Street area of San Jose. He was with at least 2 or 3 other guys, and I could tell like right away that the everyone was there, because that guy was my passenger was so drunk that there might have been a necessity, like, you know, physically help him into the car. He was like so super drunk, obviously, from just like, you know, the first few minutes of interacting with him. So once he got into the car, I asked him, hey, are you okay? Do you need to throw up? Because that's a very big fear. It's a huge hassle to have a customer throw up, so avoid it at all costs. And he's like, no, but dude, I'm hungry. Can we stop somewhere and eat? And I told him, well, I'll look, but in my mind I was like, I'm probably not gonna want to, just because you're too drunk to even like tip me for it. So you know, and it didn't occur to you to say, hey, here's some cash for us to stop. So I was more inclined to not do it, but at the same time, I was thirsty at that point, and I just thought, okay, if I find something that's close by, you know, at the very least, he'll buy his food and he can buy me a drink, if not, you know, an actual meal that maybe I could eat later. And so I was on the lookout for fast food that might have something for him, but it was after midnight on a Friday or Saturday night. So because of that, and, you know, the part of San Jose I was in, the only fast food I saw on the way was a Burger King, and it looked totally dark. And usually I don't think of Burger King's as being one of the fast foods that's open very late at night. I think Jack in the Box and McDonald's are more likely. So, yeah, because of that, I was like, oh, okay, no. And, you know, he was quiet, I was quiet. You know, I kept looking in the mirror to make sure he was not going to throw up. But he was, like a lot of times drunk people, like, you can tell they're very loose-limbed and very kind of slumped. And so, you know, the concern was still there. How drunk is this guy? Then we got to a street called Taylor Street that was very, very close to the 880 highway that I was going to take. But when I saw the Taylor Street in front of me, I was like, wait, Taylor Street is really, really close to In-N-Out. And I know from experience, In-N-Out is a good place to go late at night, because they even have the dining room open until 1 or 2 in the morning. You know, being a driver who sometimes drives at night, In-N-Out has really come in handy a lot of times for me to just go there and use the restroom in the dining rooms. So because of all that, I went ahead and like checked, and it was only 5 minutes to go to the In-N-Out. And I asked the guy, hey, do you want some In-N-Out? And he was like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll go to In-N-Out. It's not too much of a detour. And so I turn and make this detour. You know, I'm driving, everything is fine until we get to one part of the street where it's like a 3 or 4 lane area, and we were at a stoplight, and it seemed like it was a bit of a longer stoplight, because it seems like it had been at least a few seconds when suddenly I hear a door open, and I turn around and I see the guy is outside the car, and his wallet is on the seat. And I asked him, hey, are you okay? Do you need to throw up? Do you need to pee? And he says, no, I'm fine. Just leave me here. And I tell him, well, your wallet is right on the seat. Are you sure? And he said, yeah, just leave me here. And I go ahead and do it. And my reasons are, you know, a few. One of them is the customer's always right, you know. Secondly, my concern was always that he was going to throw up. So, you know, if I could get him out of the car and not have to worry about that was fine with me. And, you know, and then thirdly, it was like, even though he was in the middle of the street, it was like completely, there's no one else around. It was after midnight. It's a part of town that doesn't have any nightclubs, doesn't have really much of anything going on. So even though, you know, if it was another part of the day, I would not be letting him wander off on a road alone and drunk. But because it was like completely abandoned, I was like, he can get to a sidewalk, you know, he's not gonna get hurt or the chances of him getting hurt are very low. And the final thing too is, like, even if I had wanted to force him back into the car, like even if it was an unsafe situation and I needed him back in the car, like, I'm a woman, he's a man, I can't physically lift a man into my car, much less if he was combative. So overall, you know, the best choice for me was to go ahead and leave him there. And because he had gotten his wallet, I just thought, you know, he's gonna have his stuff with him, he can just call another Lyft and Uber when he decides that he doesn't want to be wherever he, you know, here at Coleman Avenue. So I went ahead, I left him, went about my night, had a few more customers, and ended late, like I almost always do on a Friday and Saturday night. I always end after 2 in the morning. So that next day, I don't start driving until later in the afternoon, on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, because I've been out so late the other day. So I didn't get to my car until at least noon, if not 1-ish in the afternoon. And when I was in the car, like clearing it out, making sure that it was ready to work, you know, for customers in rideshare later, I find in the back, and I go to the back and I find there's a cell phone, and the cell phone is kind of on the floor. It had moved so that was under the seat, and that's why none of the other customers had noticed it. And so, you know, I had various customers in the car after the drunk guy, but I was pretty sure, like, out of everybody, candidates for having left their phone behind, he was really high. He was my most likely candidate. But the way that Uber and Lyft both do it is that they don't want an unsafe driver to get a hold of a customer and put them, you know, in an unsafe situation. And similarly, they don't want some customer who's got, you know, bad intentions to get a hold of an innocent driver. So because of that, there was no way for me to say, hey, it was for sure the drunk guy who left his phone. I basically, looking at the app, was told, hold on to the item, somebody will contact you for it. And so there was nobody, like, you know, after I found it, I double checked, nobody had contacted me for it. And it was an iPhone, so it was locked. I needed a code to open it if I had wanted to. And so I just went ahead and put it to charge, and I was like, well, hopefully somebody will call for it, and when I go and deal with it, it'll be a fully charged phone. So I have the phone charging, you know, on the table as I'm going about my other, you know, activities and stuff. And then I noticed that the Snapchat application is messaging the phone, and when it does, it actually shows phone numbers. So there's like a bunch of Snapchat messages to this guy, and they show different phone numbers. I was like, okay, well, I can, you know, it can't hurt to try. I'll go ahead and call, you know, I'll take 5 minutes of my day looking for you know, phone number, and somebody might know whose phone this is. So I went ahead, I called, and the second number I called, it was the roommate of the drunk guy, and he's like, yeah, he lost his phone. And I asked how he wanted me to get the phone to him, and he was in Milpitas, which is not too far, maybe 20 minutes away from San Jose, 15 to 20 minutes. And he's like, well, can you bring it by Milpitas today? And I told him, every day that I work with Uber and Lyft, I don't have any guaranteed plan. You know, I turn on the application, I end up wherever the calls take me. So definitely, if I'm in the Milpitas area, I'll contact you, but I don't have any guarantees.
There's a speed trap ahead.
And, you know, if because of the day of the week, I think it was a Saturday, because if it was like a Monday or a Tuesday, a super slow day, then I might go ahead and go out of my way to go to Milpitas to drop this item off for him. But because it was it was a Saturday where it was going to be busy, you know, nighttime, there's going to be a lot of demand for my services, I just told him, okay, I'll go if I can. And he was fine with it. You know, he was very relaxed about it. You know, most of the time when people lose their phone, it's pretty important. So anyway, I go about my day, and it's 2-ish in the morning when I get a call for somebody who's going to Newark. And Newark is kind of, she was in Mountain View, I was going to Newark, and Newark is kind of north of Milpitas. So once I dropped her off in Newark, it was already the end of the night for me. I would have been stopping by Milpitas on my way home. So I went ahead and thought, okay, well, if it wasn't the middle of the night, this would be ideal for me to drop off the phone. But then I checked, and the roommate, had actually texted me. He had texted me the address earlier, but he texted me like, oh, it looks like you're not going to come by today, or maybe tomorrow. And he had texted the last 20 minutes of when I noticed that the person was going to Newark. So I went ahead and I contacted him via text, and I said, hey, I'm actually going to be passing by Milpitas in about an hour. Are you still going to be awake? Because it'll be about 3 in the morning by that point. And he said, yeah, I will be. And so I went ahead, did my ride, Mountain View to Newark, and then I started heading over to Milpitas. And once I got to Milpitas, I called him. He came out, the roommate came out to get the phone, and I asked the roommate, well, how did your friend get home? What happened? Because, like I said, I figured he would have called Lyft or Uber. And he said, oh, well, it's just funny. They ended up calling the cops on him. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, the cops brought him home. And I'm like, oh my God. Because in my mind, I thought the logical thing he would have done was use whatever money he had in his wallet, or Venmo or something, and pay somebody else for Uber or Lyft without a phone. So I found that interesting and stuff. And the guy, like, yeah, interesting. He shared with me, kind of laughs to himself, and he starts walking away. It's like, hey, dude, there's actually a $15 lost item recovery fee, and for that Lyft charges for somebody coming bringing your stuff back. And he's like, oh, okay, just bill it. And I'm like, okay, I'll bill it on the app. But it just seems weird to me, especially, knowing what a pain in the, lost items are. It seems weird to me that it wouldn't have even occurred to him to, like, tip me or mention any kind of compensation. Because even though Milpitas is not that far from San Jose, it's still, it's still time out of a driver's day to go and drop these items off. And, time to, like, look through all these phone numbers. All of it is an effort, and I think $15 is not that much money. And I've had other people with lost phones who've tipped me significantly more than $15 because phones are so expensive. So overall, yeah, really interesting experience, like, a great story to tell, but not that drunk guy's best night, nor my best experience as far as finances. So but interesting. So hope you enjoyed the story. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.